I know there are lots of reasons why people would have childcare. I was mostly speaking in response to the woman that I responded to, because I'm pretty sure she has videos saying she could be a stay-at-home mom. She just chooses not to for her career's sake.
Hi, I'm the working mom who prioritized my career over my kids, according to Emma, and she's been responding to my video in all of her videos. And I'm just here to say that, yes, I made a video that outlined the cost that has been identified as the cost to raise a child these days and labeled it as one of the main reasons that some millennials are choosing not to have kids. Not all millennials, but some millennials. And not only that, I acknowledge that I come from a place of privilege. I'm a mother of 4 kids, and I am able to spend a shit ton of money on daycare because my husband and I have careers with salaries that allow us to do that. We are incredibly privileged to be able to do that. But the cost of raising a child in our country is unaffordable and inaccessible to most people. Not to some, but to most, because the cost of daycare alone is averaging around $20,000 a year per child in many states. The cost of groceries is on average like $12,000 a person a year. That is an insane amount. The cost of housing has gone up like crazy, as have interest rates. So if you, unfortunately, were not one of the lucky ones to get in with a 3% interest rate, if you are not one of the lucky ones to have a career that allows you to be able to afford childcare, then you are probably having a difficult time navigating managing having a child in a family. It's not about priorities, it's about privilege. When you have privilege, you're typically able to do things that other people cannot do. But that does not mean you should use your privilege to be blind to the realities of everybody outside of your lived experience. Here's the thing. She made a comment about me prioritizing my career and choosing not to be a stay-at-home mom, but that is not accurate. I've talked about why I'm not a stay-at-home mom. There's many reasons. One of them being, yes, I like my career and I like having a job. But the other reasons are, 1, I'd like to be able to provide for my family in case my husband's ever unable to work for any reason and or is deceased, whatever it might be, divorced, who knows? I need to be able to provide for my children. I would also like to retire. That's something that's really important to me. I would like to be able to provide my children with a certain kind of life. I want them to be able to come to me should they need help financially when they're older. I know many of us didn't have that, and I'd like to be able to do that for my kids. I like being able to put my kids in soccer and basketball and gymnastics, and I wouldn't be able to do those things if I didn't have a job, right? There's so many things we wouldn't be able to do. For some families, having a job means healthcare, right? These things are really important to consider. It is not just about the career. And God, why don't we ask dads why they're prioritizing their careers over their kids? The priorities we're talking about is actually not whether or not a woman prioritizes her career over her family. It's about what our country's prioritizing over families and children. There are people who can help create infrastructure to make it possible for millennials and all younger generations to have children and families, but that's not happening. And people adjusting their priorities to not eat takeout or whatever it is Emma's alluding to is not going to make it possible for them to have kids. You have to have a certain level of privilege in order to have children these days because it is incredibly difficult and expensive. And I hear that from so many women and men on this app. And it is important to remind ourselves that yes, of course it's possible. It's possible even in the most dire of financial situations. You can have children. It doesn't mean it's not very, very, very hard. And it's not about your priorities at the end of the day. Okay? That's where I'm getting annoyed by all of this. I didn't respond last week, really. I kind of wanted to move on from it. But I think the inherent privilege that's being ignored in this conversation is so frustrating.